Okay, we're on. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is how it begins. Adequate notice of the September the 13th, 2018 meeting has been provided in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act by posting written notice and agenda of this meeting on the bulletin board in the Municipal Building, 1000 Route 10, Township of Hanover, and by hand delivering, mailing, or faxing such notice and agenda to the following newspapers: Morris County's Daily Record, the Star Ledger, Hanover Eagle, and by filing same with the Township Clerk. I have a roll call.
On roll call, Committeeman Gallagher.
Here.
Committeeman Faramasca.
Here.
Committeeman Mahalko.
Here.
Committeeman Cahill.
Here.
And Mayor Francioli.
Here.
5 members in attendance, sir.
Thank you, Joseph. Ladies and gentlemen, would you all please rise and join me in a pledge of allegiance to the flag, and as well remain standing for prayer. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Almighty God, we ask that you bless this governing body with an abundance of wisdom and understanding, so that every deliberation will result in actions which will promote the common good and the general welfare for all of the people of Hanover Township. Amen.
Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for one moment, please, for a moment of silence, as I know you all want to join us in that, for the tragedies of September the 11th, the loss of thousands of people in Washington, Pennsylvania, and New York. Our prayers with their souls. Thank you. Thank you very much. Please be seated. As well, our concerns and our prayers certainly go out to our neighbors in the south, the Carolinas, with the onslaught of Florence. We're hoping for the very best for all involved in that. At this time, we have a very pleasant moment, the administration of an oath of office for a new replacement patrolman. I think it's a familiar name. It's a Gallagher name, Matthew Gallagher, and we're very, very pleased to bring Matthew forward for swearing in. Joseph, Matthew, would you come forward? Did he leave?
That's it?
This is not the way to start, Steve. Okay.
Where is he?
Look at this group.
It's the honor guard.
All here? Okay, Matthew, come forward with your family for your oath of office. Chief, you should do the swearing in.
That would be appropriate.
That would be very
That would be very
appropriate.
appropriate, Chief.
Joe would like that.
Trying to get pictures.
Wait a minute.
Ooh, Jerry, where are you with the camera?
Oh, Jerry, yeah, Jerry.
Yeah. Jerry, take a picture.
Okay, Matthew, repeat after me. I, Matthew Gallagher,
I, Matthew
do
Gallagher,
solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the state of New Jersey,
and the state of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
and to the governments established in the United States
and to the governments established in the United States
and in this state
and in the state
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
and I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties of the office of patrolman
all the duties of office of patrolman
for the Township of Hanover,
for the Township of Hanover,
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Yeah, good to see you. Yes, thank you.
Very nice. Steve, I'm sure you're proud.
Very nice.
Very good. And we're proud.
Good to see you, Chief.
We're proud to have another Gallagher on board.
Thank you.
Can't
have enough of those Gallaghers, Chief. We're babysitting tonight.
And a little Gallagher on board.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Been good. All right. Thank you.
Bye, Steve.
Thanks, guys. Very good. Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, at this time, it's a pleasure for the Township Committee to have before us the assembly of our Elizabeth Ann Seton Knights of Columbus, Assembly 6904. We are blessed in Hanover Township with service groups and other committees that have assisted us along the way and have given so much of their time to our community. Knights of Columbus certainly has always been there to pitch in for the call, not just to help the municipality, but to help individuals as well. We can't say enough about our Order of Knights and Brothers. They're very dedicated individuals, men and women, who certainly are very, very supportive of everything in our township. It's our pleasure to present to the Knights tonight an award, the Hanover Township Distinguished Community Service Award. And by the way, this is not given out very lightly. This is given out with a great deal of thought. There have been years we have not given any such award. And along with our Knights, another service club this year was our Rotary, which also accepted this award. So we're very proud to offer it to you tonight. I'm going to have John read the award to the Knights. John just received the August Maffei Award from his brothers. You have on board with your Township Committee 5 fourth-degree Knights. We all support you very, very much, as the entire Township Committee does. So, John, why don't you please go forward, and why don't you have our Grand Knight come forward?
Please. Vince Labello, please come up.
Right here, John?
Right here, right here. Hanover Township Distinguished Community Service Award, presented to the Knights of Columbus, Elizabeth Ann Seton Council, 6904. Dedicated to promoting unity, charity, fraternity, and patriotism, in grateful recognition of the Council's extraordinary and outstanding services to the Hanover Township community. We congratulate the Council and Grand Knight Vincent Labello. Deacon.
I'd like to take this opportunity to say a few words. Thank you, Township Committee and Mr. Mayor. If you'll indulge me for a few minutes, I'd like to tell you a little bit about our organization. In the year 1882, a young parish priest got a group of men together in the basement of St. Mary's Church in New Haven, Connecticut. He saw the need in the community. On that day, the Knights of Columbus was started. From that time, it has grown to over 2 million members and over 15,000 councils all around the world. As an organization, the Knights have given close to $200 million in charity and performed over 75 million man-hours of volunteer service. Our organization is based on 4 principles: charity, unity, fraternity, and patriotism. Always first and foremost is charity. That all started in the year 1882, 136 years ago. Now fast forward from 1882, almost 100 years, to the year 1977. A group of men saw a need in Hanover Township. They met in the basement of a church, and Elizabeth Ann Seton Council 6904 was born. Some of those charter members are here tonight, and I'd like to take a minute to recognize them. If they could stand up, please. Our charter members: Tony Lantine, Carmen Blandino, John Hendricks, and Sal, you don't have to stand, but Sal Iconico is also a charter member. Thank you. For over 40 years, our council has been serving the 2 parishes of our township, Our Lady of Mercy and Notre Dame, as well as Hanover Township itself, and many, many charitable organizations in the area. We have never strayed from that first and foremost principle of charity. It's a true blessing for me personally to be part of this wonderful organization. I accept this plaque on behalf of all my brother knights that have ever belonged to our wonderful council. Some would argue the best in the state. Elizabeth Ann Seton, 6904. I have no doubt that this wonderful group will continue the good work started by our charter members over 40 years ago, and that the Knights of Columbus will continue on for many, many more years. Thank you again for this wonderful recognition of our hard work. And I would say to the Township Committee, we're always just a phone call away.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And may God bless these many cold nights.
Everybody.
All right. They want a photo, so we're over here?
Yeah.
All the brother knights, go right in front here.
Gotta go front.
All our brother knights, please.
All nights are here, please.
And our next little meeting tonight. What's up?
Let's bring the award. Bring the award forward, please. Bring the award forward, please.
All good?
Hey, how you doing, kid? How you been? You came back?
Where's the mayor? You should get the mayor next to the Grand Knight if he's available.
What do you want to do?
What's going on, Mike?
How are you?
Is this our night?
Carmine, you can lose you. All right, there you go.
We should have just sat in the chairs and everybody in the chairs. Who am I?
There's too many of you.
What are they saying about it?
Better move down more.
Keep the comments down.
Just keep smiling.
right, thank you.
Carmen, the movie star. Oh, you're knocking me over. You always knock me over. Good to see you, Carmen. You know what? A phone takes pictures. Like paparazzi. Sitting by your pool having a drink. He sits by the pool all day. He sits by the pool. He calls me. He's like, hey, where's Joe? He's like, I'm not gonna rub it in, but I'm hanging at the pool. I'm like, nice to meet you. It's nice to meet you.
Check your email, Chuck.
So you admit you have to work it out. I gave you one pieces to have. I didn't do it.
Seven-page agenda.
Yeah, good to see you.
Oh my God, people fly down there. That's a good idea. Where are you staying up here? I don't know. What do you think, Jack? Because we were at the... I think you're...
Let's go.
Kick him out.
Take care.
I'll be there.
How are you? I'm good, thank you. Good to see you.
He's got no patience. He's run out of patience.
I will.
Ice is in the back.
I'm shocked John O'Brien's here.
I know.
I haven't seen
I
John.
haven't seen him in so
That was very nice. That was very nice. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, at this time, a motion to open the floor to the public
So
for any
moved.
items not appearing on the agenda. Motion to open.
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the floor is open. Anyone who would like to address the Township Committee at this time can do so from the podium, giving us your name and address for the record. Seeing none. Hearing none. Oh, wait a second. There is one.
There is one.
Oh, my God. Son of a gun. Dennis, what's up?
Good evening. Dennis Fasciano, 39 Forest Way. A little advertisement for the Environmental Committee Green Team. We may be announcing it, but given advance notice that there's going to be a shred day, the Community Shred Day, shredding on site, on Saturday, the 27th of October. I know that's ahead of the game. By the time we see this on TV, it could be about close to that. But in any case, it's going to be in the municipal parking lot, not the community center, from 9 to 12.
Okay.
So I just wanted to promote that a little.
So it's not at Employment Horizons, it's not at, it's in the
No,
municipal
this is a
parking
new,
lot.
the rest. We're doing this
Okay,
on
'cause
our own.
everyone was used to going to Employment
Yes,
Horizons.
Employment Horizons has
Good.
reneged on doing any more of this, so we did it on our own for the green team, and having it in the municipal lot, we'll have a sign, people to come in, and I believe there's stuff going on at the community center that day, so probably a busy Saturday as usual. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Very good, fantastic. Bring all your old tax records, 7 years or older, by the way, and all your legal papers, everything that you want shredded in confidentiality, and you can be a part of it while your documents are shredded. So if you have any concerns for security of your documents, you can watch them be shredded. Michael?
Mike Chuknitsky, 57 Oak Boulevard.
You can see I've taken off my Knights of Columbus hat and I've put on Chairman of the Landmark Commission.
Oh my God, you got 4 minutes, here you go. Go ahead.
I believe I'm stealing both the mayor's and Brian Cahill's thunder in that we, on October 20th, are going to be having a gathering of the friends and neighbors of the Whippany Burying Yard. It turns 300 years old, and there has never been this sort of gathering for 157 years. So people are telling me it is very unusual to do that. And so I'm receiving phone calls. Fairchild calls me up. Tuttle calls me up. It's really unusual that the people are literally gathering from Maine, from wherever, because this type of event to honor that the United States in some way, shape, or form started here. The first settlers, the first church, the first militia training yard, the first school, all were in where the burying yard is today. And so on October 20th, we are inviting people to come. And I'm hoping that perhaps some of the younger families, the Mahalkos, I understand, have only been here for 150 years. So they're basically brand new. But it's interesting to get a phone call and you say, yeah, well, I remember there was a gathering. I was told that it happened in 1850 and there was a funeral. Keturah Tuttle died and they laid her to rest. And a young minister, a Tuttle minister, came from Rockaway, and he looked around and said the people at this funeral saw the American Revolution. They lived through it, and he published his interviews of his relatives. That minister's Bible is coming back to Whippany on the 20th, and that shocks me. That and I don't have this exactly, but it was Mike Mumble, 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 George Washington's Mumble, Mumble, Mumble is in the Bible. So I'm looking forward to hearing the words that I did not get exactly right, but it's going to be an interesting event that we are doing. And on the 21st, we will be giving a tour of the burying yard after we have a service in it. So even if there is not enough room in the Presbyterian Hall, which is brand new since it's only been there since 1834, hardly used at all. But we are going to give a tour of the burying yard. The last time we did that, we had a little bit under 200 people, and they came on a day that it was 95 degrees and 98% humidity, and I was worried we were going to have to call the hospital endlessly, and they are now coming back, so it will be interesting to see what happens on October 21st. Thank you.
Well, Mike, you stole my thunder for sure. That's exactly what I was going to say. So I can take that chapter right off my report.
You will be speaking on the 20th.
So I'm told. I was told.
The mayor is going to be speaking. You are going to be speaking. So
we're looking forward to it. We're also looking forward to get a flagpole in that wonderful burying yard. I had mentioned it, and I think, gentlemen, we ought to really take a look at that. And it's on a historic listing now and a site. It doesn't have an American flagpole on it. I mean, we ought to get something constructed there for that. Okay, floor is still open. Anyone else like to be heard at this time? Hearing none, seeing none. Motion to close.
So moved. Second.
Mr. Administrator.
Okay, under communications, we have several. The first is a letter addressed to Ed Abalou, the chairperson of the Cultural Arts Committee, from Bob Smith. It says, Dear Ed, please accept my resignation from the Cultural Arts Committee as of today, August 8th. I am unable to make the meeting obligations to many previous commitments and obligations. I feel it's unfair to continue to take up a membership position because of the above. Sincerely, Bob Smith. May we have a motion to accept the letter of resignation?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so approved. We have also a letter from Steve Bolkart. It says, Dear Mr. Giorgio, please accept this letter as notice of my resignation from all responsibilities within Hanover Township, effective October the 5th, 2018, respectfully, ending my 60-year relationship. I proudly started my career with Hanover Township Police, retiring as the Deputy Chief after 36 years. Continued my path with the Juvenile Conference Committee for 25 years, 35 years Supervisor for the School Crossing Guards, and 5 years with the Park and School Safety Subcommittee. Over the 60 years, I have raised a family, made lifelong friends, and watched my community grow and flourish. I thank Hanover Township for giving me the ability to have played a part in the nurturing and safety of our residents. Signed, Stephen Bolkar, School Crossing Guard in charge. May we have a motion to accept the letter of resignation?
Motion with regret.
Motion with regret.
Second with regret.
Second with regret. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next is a letter from Chief Mark Roddy, Dear Township Committee, with the retirement of Mr. Stephen Bolkar as the head of the School Crossing Guards. I am recommending that Mr. Ronald Bars be designated as his replacement. Mr. Bars is a lifetime Hanover Township resident, firefighter, and EMT. Additionally, Mr. Bars has been a school crossing guard for the past 5 years and has been training with Mr. Bolkar for the past 3 months in order to prepare for the head school crossing guard position. Mr. Bolkar has also recommended that Mr. Bars for this position and has indicated that he will do a great job in this role. If you have any questions concerning this, please do not hesitate to contact me. Sincerely, Mark D. Roddy, Chief of Police. And the final letter is to Chief Mark Roddy from Steve Bolkar. I, Stephen Bolkar, former supervisor of the School Crossing Guards, hereby recommend Ron Bars, residing at 2502 Whippinong Way, Whippany, as the new supervisor for School Crossing Guards. Ron has been a longtime resident of Hanover Township, is a Whippany fireman, EMT, and has been working as a school guard for 5 years. We have taken the last 3 months to transition him to my job. He's very qualified and will do a great job. Signed, Stephen Bolkar. So those are the letters of recommendation. The final notification we have is from the Southeast Morris County Municipal Utilities Authority on the continuation of a professional services agreement with Mott McDonald, increasing the dollar amount of the professional services agreement from $36,489.12 to $41,543.12 with regard to engineering services in connection with the construction and administration for the Picatinny Booster Pump Station standby power installation. And that concludes at this time the communications for the benefit of the Township Committee and the public. We now have the following departmental reports that are available for public inspection, and they include the following: 2 reports to the Township Committee from the Engineering Department on capital projects. The 2 reports are dated August the 9th and September 13th. We have 2 reports also from the Superintendent of Public Works, Buildings and Grounds and Park Maintenance on all activities during the months of July and August. The Township's Chief Municipal Finance Officer has also submitted reports dated August 15th and September 12th with regard to the summary of budget revenues. And our construction official has also submitted his reports as of July 16th and August 7th, and also September 7th, on the issuance of all construction permits and building permits. The Chief of Police has also submitted his August report on all activities of the Police Department, and the Property Maintenance Officer has submitted her report as of July and August 2018. So all those reports are available for public inspection in the Office of the Business Administrator, Township Clerk. And next item, ladies and gentlemen, on the agenda, if you will see your agenda, you'll notice item 11. It's a public hearing, consideration of a pet shop license to be issued to Pet Supplies Plus. Oh, I'm sorry. We'll just go back. We have the approval of the minutes, regular minutes of August the 9th May we have a motion for
So
approval?
moved.
Have a motion second on roll call. Mr. Gallagher?
Aye.
Mr. Ferramaska?
Aye.
Mr. Mahalko?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes.
And Mr. Francioli?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, now we'll move to item 11, the public hearing. This is the consideration of a pet shop license to be issued to Pet Supplies Plus to be located at 170 East Hanover Avenue in Cedar Knolls. And this public hearing is held all in accordance with Section 117-5 of the Code of the Township entitled Kennels, Pet Shop, Shelters, and Pounds under Chapter 117 of the Code of the Township. And if members of the Township Committee recall, on July 30th, I received a letter from Barbara Grobert, one of the principals of Pet Supplies Plus, and that letter explained in full the proposal for a new pet shop at 170 East Hanover Avenue. And as a matter of fact, we have Ms. Grobert and also her partner, Mr. Altier, present here this evening. We'll also note for the record that Pet Supplies has submitted their application for a permit in accordance with the Township's code. And so at this time, we'll also note for the record that the Health Department has reviewed all the requirements with Pet Supplies, and they are in conformance with the Township's health code, and they just await the need for a building permit from the Building Department, and that is all subject to the approval of the Township Committee this evening. So at this time, may we have a motion to convene the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Ferramaska, seconded by Mr. Gallagher. On roll call, Mr. Gallagher?
Aye.
Mr. Ferramaska?
Aye.
Mr. Mahalko?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Aye.
And Mr. Francioli?
Aye.
Is there anyone in chambers wishing to be heard regarding this application? Please step forward to the microphone and give your name and address for the record.
Hi there, my name is Terry Baird, 180 Parsippany Road in Whippany section of Hanover. And I have a few concerns about it. I'm very happy to see that we're going to have a pet supply store in town, so I don't have to go out of town because I do tend to have a few pets. But there are some concerns I have in reference to having a pet shop license. The actual term of pet shop license just sort of sends chills up and down my spine just because of what happened with Just Pups in East Hanover and Hanover Township not having an ordinance to prevent the sale of dogs and cats. So I guess I have a question in reference to what will be sold that's necessary to have the pet shop license at the Pet Supplies Plus. And I don't know if it's possible to get an answer to that, or...
I think since we have the owners
Yeah.
here,
Yeah.
Mayor.
I don't know that they intend to sell live pets or indoors. I don't-
Would you step to the
Step up,
microphone
please
so
come
it's
up.
on the record?
Where do you want me?
Right up.
At the
chair,
microphone, please,
to the
and
mic.
give your name and address for the record. Right,
No,
right in
right
the back.
Up there, this one? No, there's a microphone
there.
right up there, on the table.
Right there.
Wherever you're...
Chair, take a chair, sit down, be comfortable, have a microphone, welcome.
Okay.
Hi.
So I'm Barbara Grobert, and this is JP Altier. We live at 5 Sherwood Avenue in Madison. I share your concerns. So we have a store now in Garwood. We opened actually a year ago this month. It's about 8,000 square feet. We sell we sell food for dogs, cats, small critters, reptiles, and birds. We also sell in our store fish, birds, reptiles, and small critters. They are all from approved vendors by corporate. We're a franchise. Pet Supplies Plus has 450 stores across the country. So about half of them are franchise. We do not and will never sell cats or dogs. I am an animal lover. I have 2 dogs myself. They're both rescue dogs. What we do though in relation to dogs is we have a community room where we offer positive training, puppy classes, and adult dog classes. And then we work with licensed shelters only. They come in once or twice a month as a rescue group. Their volunteers come in, they have to be licensed, and we do adoption days. My staff does not have anything to do with it. We just provide the space. It's a great service. There are so many dogs and cats out there that need homes. So we alternate. We'll do a cat adoption one month, a dog adoption another month. We also have a donation bin up front, and we alternate every month for a different local rescue. Both JP and I are all about, hi Blaze. We are all about community. So everybody that works for me are local residents, from teenagers to, I have a gentleman that works for me, he's 55 years old. So our store is kind of like an extension of the neighborhood. People come in just to hang out. It's a place for them to bring their pets. We have a self-serve dog wash, which we're also going to have in the store here. So I think the pet shop license, what I understand, because it's an extension of the state of New Jersey, what they require is any store that sells live animals and or supplies for live animals is required to have a license in the state of New Jersey. It's a very detailed, I think you have a copy of it.
I have a copy of the
It's
state
like
statute.
19 pages. We have to tell them exactly what kind of animals we're selling, the vendors. I have an animal care specialist that works for me. I'm looking to hire one for this store as well if it gets approved, because I want to make sure that the animals are getting the best care. We are also, as JP knows, I'm very particular about who I sell our live animals to. You know, we don't sell to anyone under 18. They have to come in with a parent. The parent has to be there to get permission. I've refused selling critters to a few people kindly. You know, you just kind of get a sense, you know, like this is not a person that's going to take care of this animal. So I don't really know what else, you know, I can tell you. Does anybody have
you give
questions?
a very excellent explanation
Yeah.
of not only your consideration for pets, but how you intend to operate. It is kind of unique today with pet shops. More and more of them, I think, now are going through the adoption process, where I know even in some of the malls, the pet shops are now not selling dogs, but bringing in adoption agencies that bring pets in once a week or so, and then you're able to adopt a cat or a dog there, but they don't remain there for sale. That's
No,
it.
and they don't never stay overnight. None of the cats or dogs.
You mentioned in your comment that some care for a dog or a pet. What does that entail? I mean, are you going to board a dog, or are you going to board a pet?
No, we have a self-serve pet wash. We have what's called a community room where we do educational things for like the scouts, the schools. We do puppy classes, but we don't have, and we don't want to have a shelter license.
And there will be
It's
no
a whole
outside.
different-
There will be no outside kennel, no outside runs or kennels.
No, it's just, we're really, our biggest selling items are the supplies. And
Mostly
food for the
supplies and
animals.
accessories for pets and animals.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Are there, if I
Are there
may?
any?
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Go ahead.
The Pet Supplies Plus franchise, you said there's 450 stores across the nation. Do any of those have shelter licenses or sell?
No,
or is it a corporate policy or strategy not to go that route?
It is not, they can if they choose. I know the Berkeley Heights store, because they had a grooming room and they closed their grooming room, and so a local Best Friends cat and dog, they got a shelter license, and so they now have a cat room in there, and so people can come in and see them and adopt them. I don't want that responsibility, and I don't like the idea of leaving cats or dogs that are so human connected in a store alone at night. Like, I would never do that. The only thing I would like to add, if you want to know more about us, go on our Instagram and Facebook page. You can really see get a sense of what our store is like and the energy and, the people that come in. And then if you go on Google Review, you can see how people feel about us. I mean, my number one thing is customer service. I'm also a neat freak, so my stores are really clean. Or my store is.
Terry, you have any other questions?
Yeah, I did. I have a couple other questions. Will any of the small pocket pets and such, will any of them require permitting from the Division of Fish and Wildlife?
Yes, and that's part of our pet shop license with the state. It has a list of the ones that are required, and then it's a 3-copy book. Mm-hmm. The customer gets one that they have to send in. We have a copy, and we get audited once a year, and then we send once a year to the state all that have sold.
Right.
So.
Okay, and also, has the Board of Health reviewed the blueprints for the new store?
They have.
They have?
Yes.
Okay.
And we also, in our store, we're required to have a vet of record. So the vet of record comes in quarterly. They come in unannounced, as does the health department. We have a wellness room in our store that's required. It's separate ventilation. It's not connected to anything else in the store. Mm-hmm. And that's where if we've never had an animal that's gotten sick in the store. We've had 1 or 2 that have come in, and we didn't see it when the delivery was done, and they don't go, the delivery man leaves, we start looking at everything, and they go right into the wellness room. They don't get housed with the other critters.
Right, okay. And I guess the only thing that I would ask the committee, and according to the state licensing, is that you have the ability to give the permit to them for a pet shop to sell pet supplies for all types of animals, including cats and dogs, and sell animals other than cats and dogs, but restricts the pet shop from selling cats and dogs. So I would ask that, I'm all for having a pet shop place. It's the selling of the cats and dogs. So because we're talking about now, and I can't say what's going to happen in 5 years, 10 years. We look back 5-10 years, things change quickly. I would recommend that the committee recommend that they get the license, but that it restrict the sale of cats and dogs.
I don't know that we covered in some fashion, but if we haven't, by the way, this application also goes to the Board of Health, which has also reviewed the application. What we can do is have them review that request, Terry, and if they think
it's under the
there's a
Department
basis
of
for that,
Health's
then
on the state
we'll have them
website.
act on it. And then they'll refer it back to the Township Committee to be a piece of legislation.
It's part of the state code that you have the ability to do that.
We'll take a look at it.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you very much, and I look forward to shopping.
Very good. The floor remains, you can take your own seat back. Thank you very much for your comments.
Thank you.
Okay, floor is still open. Anyone else have any comments at this time? Sally, you don't want to say anything? You can't hear me.
He's just looking at her. Is there anyone else wishing to be heard at this time?
No? Okay. No? No? All right. What? What's your problem?
I got no problem.
Okay. All right. Moving on. Our motion to close?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Mr. Administrator.
We now have a resolution of the Township Committee of the Township of Hanover approving the issuance of pet shop license to Preston Elizabeth T Squared Beta LLC, doing business as Pet Supplies Plus, to be located at 170 East Hanover Avenue in the Cedar Knoll section of the Township, all in accordance with Section 117-5, entitled Kennels, Pet Shops, Shelters, and Pounds, under Chapter 117 of the Code of the Township, entitled Dogs and Other Animals. May we have a motion for approval?
So moved.
We have a motion and second. On roll call, Mr. Gallagher?
Aye.
Mr. Faramasca?
Aye.
Mr. Mahalko?
Yes.
Mr. Cahill?
Yes?
And Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
So approved.
Congratulations.
Congratulations and welcome to Hanover Township. It's
welcome.
great to have you here.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, as we continue with the agenda, we have ordinances for adoption. Ordinance number 17-2018, ordinance number 19-2018, and ordinance number 20-2018. You'll recall that the Township Committee could not move on the adoption of these three ordinances because we lacked letters of recommendation from the Planning Board, but the Township Committee did convene the public hearing on all three ordinances and then close the public hearing. So for purposes of this evening is to report to the Township Committee. We do have three letters of recommendation, one each for ordinances 17, 19, and 20. So with that, we can take these three ordinances as a consent agenda for approval. So at this time, may we have a motion for the approval and adoption of ordinance number 17, 19, and 20 as a consent agenda.
So moved.
Have a motion by Mr. Gallagher, seconded now by Mr. Faramasca. On roll call for adoption on all three ordinances. Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Faramasca.
Aye.
Mr. Mahalko.
Yes.
Mr. Cahill.
Yes.
And Mr. Franciola.
Aye.
So adopted, and those letters of recommendation are on file in the Business Administrator Township Clerk's office for review. The first one mine. This would be the second set. Just make sure I'm giving you all the copies.
Have a good night.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Good luck.
They could only teach my cat not to bite me on.
I'm sure my rescue lab and my wife will be over at your pet supply soon.
They could only teach my feral cat not to bite. I'd be, it'd be good shape.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we'll move ahead in 1 minute. This is the next set here. The mayor has 2 pens tonight because he's got a lot to sign. That's the second one, yes. Okay, now we'll move ahead, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, ordinances for introduction. We have 10 ordinances for introduction, as you'll note, under item 13, which continues for 2 pages. Are there any questions from members of the governing body concerning any of the 10 ordinances for introduction?
Joe, I would
Yes.
like, sorry, John.
Good.
I would like Fred to take a minute and explain ordinance number 30, 2018, if you could. Give us a little background on that, Fred.
Yes, the governing body, with respect to this ordinance, has discussed the recent discussion at the state level about legalizing the sale of marijuana, and we evaluated a number of options. One of the options was to look at it from a land use perspective, but without the legislation in place, it's very difficult. You can't just take a blanket approach and say, we're going to speak to marijuana legalization or a ban from a land use perspective in a vacuum. So they asked me to look at a number of different options as to how to address certain legislation before it's adopted, to essentially stay ahead of this after quite a bit of discussion about the concern for the legalization of same. And what we've put together at the direction of the governing body is an ordinance that under the state law, if it were adopted into law, we would anticipate that it would be much like Alcoholic Beverage Control Commission, where licenses would be issued. And from that standpoint, the governing body has legislation today that says if marijuana is legalized and it's done so by a licensing agency of the state or the municipality, then Hanover Township does not want to issue any license for the sale of marijuana within the township. So that's what the ordinance does, and that's based on the direction and the discussion of the governing body.
Thank you, Fred. Thank you, Fred. Joe? Go ahead.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, all of the 10 ordinances will be published in full with their respective notices of introduction in the September 19th issue of the Daily Record. All 10 ordinances will be docketed for public hearing on the 11th of October at 8 p.m. And at that time, any member of the public wishing to comment on any of those ordinances will be given the opportunity to speak at the October 11th meeting, again starting at 8 p.m. So at this time, may we have a motion from a member of the Township Committee to introduce the 10 ordinances as a consent agenda?
Joe, real quick discussion with John and Ron before tonight. Could we take out number 30 and move that one all together as a governing body?
Well, this is only for introduction, so you would do that, I think, for adoption.
Okay, beautiful. Thanks, Joe.
Because you have to have the public hearing first, and then you can do that.
Okay,
So at this
beautiful.
point, you really, I think you don't do it.
We'll move to introduce.
Yeah.
Motion on
So we have a motion by Mr. Gallagher for introduction. Do we have a second?
Yeah.
Second.
Okay, second by Mr. Fermaska on roll call for introduction of ordinance numbers, just for the record, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. We have a motion and second on roll call. Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Fermaska.
Aye.
Mr. Mahalko.
Yes.
Mr. Cahill.
Yes.
And Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
Now, we'll go to the resolutions as a consent agenda. Are there any questions from members of the Township Committee concerning any of the resolutions?
No, move they be approved.
We have a motion by Mr. Fermaska.
Second?
We have a second by Mr. Cahill on roll call for the approval of all the resolutions as a consent agenda. Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Fermaska.
Aye.
Mr. Mahalko.
Yes.
Mr. Cahill.
Yes.
And Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
Joe?
Okay, yes, sir.
I would like to make one comment and ask one question to Fred again about H.
Yeah, H is, the governing body's taken the position that it is sending a resolution to the governor and neighboring communities expressing its opposition to legalizing marijuana. And in the resolution, there's a number of statements and facts that the governing body wants to bring to the governor's attention. And perhaps the governing body wants to express what that is. But so at the direction of the committee, this resolution is to urge the governor not to sign into law the legislation regarding the legalization of marijuana.
And each member of the Township Committee will be signing that resolution as a statement of unanimity.
And some of the information we received, Joe Giorgio and myself, from members of the Township Committee were about the inherent risk and health and safety concerns that factually exist pertaining to the legalization or the sale of marijuana that we placed in the resolution to support the Township Committee's position.
I think one of our concerns, Fred, just to add on to that, I'm sure one of my colleagues on the committee has a comment, but is the fact that there is not in place with this proposal any check and balance for testing for intoxication in the field. Our police officers will be out there enforcing traffic and other codes with safety, and have no way, unlike alcohol with a breathalyzer, of testing for marijuana other than a blood test. So I don't think we're comfortable at all in having a substance like this that can intoxicate without having a way of knowing the degree of intoxication. That's my comment.
I'd like to make one comment also. We spent a lot of time on this. I spent a lot of time talking to Fred about this myself. And I spoke to a lot of municipalities that have a resolution in place. And I really think this body took the time to make one with as much teeth in it as we can. And we are actually petitioning the governor to please not pass this as law for recreational use of marijuana. And the statistics and the science behind why we would not like it to be for public safety and for health, and especially our youngsters and all the work we're doing with our youngsters. Fred, I appreciate your great work and taking all our phone calls.
Thank you.
And I really think that these two pieces are excellent. And I think you did a great job.
Thank you.
And it's great to stand lockstep with the entire committee together and let Hanover Township know, at the very least, we're doing everything we can, and we're not happy about it. That's it, guys.
Thank you, John.
Hanover Township works very, very hard trying to support our children, young adults, in terms of providing them with education about drugs, in terms of alcohol, in terms of abuse and the effect. I think it would be hypocritical of us if we did not take a statement as what we're doing this evening. I think this will serve the public good in Hanover Township, and we do hope that the governor and the governor's team thinks this through on many different levels. Many of those topics have been spoken about, so I'm not going to reiterate it, but this is not just an emotional decision as to whether you should have this or whether you should not. There's many, many issues that need to be thought through with great consideration to understand what these impacts are and how it will affect the community and the life of those in the development stage within their life.
Fred, would it also be proper to send along with the resolution a copy of the ordinance upon introduction?
I think that'd be a great idea, Joe,
Okay.
because that really expands upon what the governing body's doing, because a resolution is a message and the ordinance is the legislation. I think
We'll
that's
send
great.
out both.
Yeah.
Good.
Any other comments? None?
You know, we have children, and we all fully agree that we spend so much time, effort, money trying to keep them off and away from drugs, and now it's going to be that much easier. You can say, well, alcohol is out there, but we certainly see teens and young adults drink. I think and feel that and fear that the same thing would happen with marijuana, and I personally feel it's a gateway, and it would lead to the next. Again, having children, I vehemently oppose it.
Well said.
You know, Ron, the last point I'll make is I took my daughter and all her friends to Governor's Ball in Randall's Island, and the whole place smelled like marijuana. But if you look at cigarette smoking, you're almost ostracized. You have to smoke in a little corner. You're not allowed to smoke anywhere. You can't smoke at Yankee Stadium. I asked a few people, are you going to be able to smoke pot everywhere? And because it's, quote, cool and hip, my fear is people are going to be smoking pot all over the place, even where you're not allowed to smoke cigarettes. And the whole thing is a mess, and I can go on, but I'm just very happy to work with you guys, and I'm glad we stood together, and I'm glad Fred and Joe put the time they did into this. Thank you guys on behalf of all our kids, our soon grandkids one of these days, right, Mike? But thank you. And we have 2,130 students in Hanover Township, and I feel that we're doing everything we could to protect them, and I'm happy. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Let's just hope the message gets loud and clear down in Trenton where it belongs. Okay, any other, go, Joe, any other comment on
No,
that?
it's okay. Just payment of bills.
Motion to pay the bills.
$5,995,400.99. We have a motion by Mr. Faramasca.
Second.
Second by Mr. Gallagher. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That way the sheriff won't come and get me. And at the raffle applications, we have broken the record. We have 25 raffle applications, the last one being submitted at 12 noon today. Are there any questions about, a lot of activity out there.
That's impressive.
Any questions about any of the raffle applications? Hearing none, seeing none, may we have a motion on the approval of all 25 applications?
So move all
Motion.
25 of them.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Faramasca. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Gallagher. On roll call, Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Faramasca.
Aye.
Mr. Mahalko.
Yes.
Mr. Cahill.
Yes.
And Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
So approved. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Mayor and members of the Township Committee.
Thank you, Joseph.
Clears the
Okay.
agenda of the
Gentlemen,
Township
once again, I'd like a motion to open the floor to the public.
So moved.
Moved and
Second.
seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the floor again is open to the public. Anyone would like to comment at this time, do so from the podium, giving us your name and address for the record.
Good evening. Terry Baird, 180 Parsippany Road, New Whippany section of Hanover. And
I just wanted to thank you all for having that hearing about the Pet Supplies Plus, but I also want to expand on that a little bit further, because the possibility exists that the Township Committee can pass a resolution that would prohibit the sale of dogs and cats in the town. And I would hope that the committee, in light of having a new pet supply place coming and not knowing really, it's a new ground, that they would consider that. There are 120 towns in the state of New Jersey that have passed legislation like this. The closest ones to our town is Randolph, which was one of the first ones in 2014, and also Livingston is another local town within, close proximity. So I would hope that you would consider checking into that and possibly putting an ordinance forth to prohibit the sale of dogs and cats in Hanover Township.
I think the Township Committee will take serious consideration of that. And I think, too, the Township Committee likes to get the input and support of its other agencies, so probably the Board of Health would weigh on this, and maybe even, I'm not even sure that Public Safety wouldn't weigh in on that, whether or not we did something like that. But I think we'd like that input before we take any formal action, but I think the idea of taking formal action is a very good one.
Yes, and also possibly checking in with our animal control.
Yep.
And their feelings on that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Terry. Yep. Okay, anyone else like to be heard at this time? Hearing none, motion to close?
So moved. Second.
Okay, gentlemen, other business from the committee. Member Gallagher.
Ron, I'm going to go a little off script tonight, because I think I discussed this issue with every one of you guys privately. But I want to talk about traffic safety in and around our schools and parks on a different level. The day of the Whippany Park Wildcat football team and cheerleading car wash, I drove my daughter over to the school, proud as could be. My daughter was part of that team now. She loves it. She goes to school all the time. She just turned 14 years old. There was a bunch of kids on the left side of East Fairchild, a bunch of kids on the right side of East Fairchild. They were all yelling my daughter's name. I was in heaven. I pulled over. She said, "Daddy, let me out. Daddy, let me out." She gets out of my truck, runs along the side of the truck, runs across the front of the truck. I screamed, "Katie, stop." She stopped. She's a little sharper than me. I might have taken that second step. This car blew by her going 40 miles an hour. I saw the car hit my daughter. I pulled over. Mentally, I saw that car hit my daughter. No, thank God, Ron. But I'm making my point. You know how as a parent, your brain goes that extra mile. She looked at me scared. My daughter's never scared of anything. I pulled over. I almost had a heart attack. I really did. And I talked to her later that day, and I said, "Katie, did you stop because I screamed your name, or did you stop because you saw the car?" She said, "I don't know, Daddy, but that was really close." My point being, as a body, we put together the School and Park Traffic Safety Advisory Committee, and we work really hard. I don't know what it's going to take to get through to some of these people to calm down around our schools and parks. We're going to lose a kid. We're going to lose a kid unless people calm down. And I told my wife that night, Mr. School and Park Traffic Safety over here almost lost my daughter. We lost Ralph Politti Jr. 6 years ago. He was a big, strong guy, lover of life. Boom, it can happen in a second. So please, we have safety messages out. We're working with the schools. Every member of this body is out there all the time encouraging it. We're putting resources into it like it's going out of style. All our crosswalks are painted every year. We're always improving with our ADA compliant ramps, our updated signage. So listen, we can't do more. We'll do anything for anybody we can. But we always say that we might be pretty tough, but not tough enough to, God forbid, have something happen to one of our children. So please, you gotta be careful. Like I said before, we have 2,130 students, and the police can't be sitting on every corner. And we can't put a sign on every corner. Brian Cahill says it the best. After a while, Brian, what do you say? You just get blind from all of these signs. So I'm pleading with everybody, and it's not just Hanover Township; it's everywhere. You gotta calm down. And my life is my kids. And that's all I want to say about that, Ron. So thank you, and I'll just jump back on script from there.
Very strong safety statement from you, and, understood, very understood on that.
So, now getting back into the plus side of things, Mike Mihalko is going to go on quite a bit about Hanover Township Day. I just want to say it was phenomenal, and as far as my piece with the DPW, hand in glove with all the other groups in town, working, setting up, taking down, being there that day, just beautiful, Mike. Great job, everybody. I want to say, too, with the thank you, Denise Brennan, Mike Mihalko, and the rec commissioners. With our Drug Coalition, we introduced our MC Teen Concert Series, which is now the New Jersey Teen Concert Series, which is an opportunity to feature our young artists and our young musicians, which are basically the same thing. And we're going to develop that, put on a big show in November, which is going to be exciting. And also, with the Drug Coalition, now is our cultural arts. We're going to be booking our first 2 master classes for musicians. We're going to have a drum instruction master class and a guitar instruction master class. I will not be teaching the drum master class, but I have a pretty good idea who we're going to plug in to do it. Because I don't want to make it about myself. I want to make it about great drummers and students that want to be great drummers. And it's a lot of fun. We have a lot of great things coming up. So I just want to say again, guys, thank you for letting me go off script. And I had to share that message about my daughter, because even thinking about it, I get very, very upset. And you know what? Like I said, we have 2,130 kids. We got to be careful. We got to slow down. That's it, Ron. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very good. John?
Yeah, Planning Board, you saw evidence tonight of 9 ordinances either being adopted or introduced. Those 9 ordinances just don't happen. The Planning Board works very, very hard in terms of debating each and every one. Some of those ordinances had like 2 to 6 hours of participation of a 10-member board to populate that and then work with our professional planner, Mr. Branchow, to perfect that. So I want to personally thank the commitment of the Planning Board for making that happen. Economic Development. Economic Development Advisory Council remains very busy on updating the township website with the goal to attract quality businesses to our town and make it easier for the members of our community to get information from our website. Things are moving along well, and we're proud to the fact that they've helped contribute to Hanover being one of the most affordable communities within Morris County with the best services overall. So thank you, members of Economic Development. I wouldn't have an update without something about engineering, roads, and more. So here we go. Engineering, it's all about the roads. The resurfacing of Locust Drive from Apple Tree to Orchard has now begun. Hopefully the weather cooperates so we can get it done this month. It's been a very difficult period of time to pave roads given the weather which we've had. Next up will be Shamrock and Woodfield Drive from Whippany Road. That's planned to begin later this month, weather depending. And we're also pleased to see that the speed humps that were installed on Orchard and Prospect Place are working to the point Mr. Gallagher just spoke about. People really need to observe speed limits because there are a lot of pedestrians in our town. Aside from the children, there are walkers. And if you're flying through residential neighborhoods, you're putting the lives of other people at risk. So please be observant. In addition to the roads, we have a new project that's just beginning on North Jefferson Road, where we're constructing what's called an asphalt trail path. That'll go from the DPW all the way to 9 Avenue. So that'll be a great amenity for those who live in that part of our community to be able to access the municipal campus. Lastly, the environmental green team. Dennis Fasciano spoke about this one, but Shred Day, October 27th. Please mark it down at the Municipal Center. This Saturday in Morris County, there's going to be what's called hazardous waste collection. And this is a good opportunity. This Saturday morning from 9 to 2 p.m. at the County Public Service Academy, which is at 500 West Hanover Avenue, you can bring in such items as, I got old gasoline, what do I do with it? I've got solvents, I've got car batteries, I've got paint, what do I do? Bring it there. it'll be environmentally disposed in a proper fashion at zero cost to you. That concludes my remarks.
Well, thank you, John. No, that 500 Hanover Avenue, like I said, there's about twice a year that they open that up for hazardous waste. So if it's tires or batteries, as John said, now is the time to do it. I just wish they would do it more on a schedule that we could follow. In other words, even if it's once a quarter, the first Monday of a quarter, I don't know. I proposed that to them in the past, and they want to stick with this, schedule that they have for whatever reasons. But in any event, Committeeman Cahill.
Thank you. So first, I'd like to start by, again, congratulating Matthew Gallagher. He joined Hanover Township Police Department officially on September 1st. He was sworn in today. As he follows in his father's footsteps, I'm sure he'll make a great addition to the department. Matt brings to 31 the total number of officers on the force today. As I stated in previous meetings, our goal is by December to bring the force up to 32. So we've got one more to hire, hopefully, coming up in December. Moving on to the Cedar Knolls Firehouse. At last week's Fire Commissioners meeting at the Cedar Knolls Firehouse, firefighters Ryan Ocalito and Thomas Quirk III were awarded black helmet status. Both gentlemen joined the Cedar Knolls Fire Department as junior firefighters at the age of 16 and attended junior firefighter training at the Morris County Safety Academy. Upon turning 18, they were granted probationary status and were tasked with enhancing their skills to firefighter level 1. So after successfully meeting the testing requirements, Chief DeGiorgio recommended them for full status. The black helmet ceremony recognizes this achievement, so congratulations to both. Moving on to the Whippany Fire Department, on September 4th, firefighters Ben Bradley and Richie Olaco became our newest career firefighters. Both Ben and Richie grew up in Hanover and started as volunteers with the Whippany Fire Department. So again, congratulations to both of those guys. It's always nice to see young people that grew up in this town stay in this town and grow up to serve. Really nice. The Landmark Commission. So Mike did a very nice job of describing what was going on and giving us a really nice history of what the event is going to be about, this gathering on October 20th at Presbyterian Church. What he forgot to mention was if you want to go, if you go to the Hanover Township website, right on the homepage, there's a form that you can download and sign up to attend, and that way we'll know exactly who's coming. But it should be a very, very exciting event. They've got a lot of things set up. They're requesting if anybody does come, if you've got any photos or artifacts or stories that you'd like to share. It doesn't necessarily need to be about the burying yard. There's just so many incredible stories about the history of this town. Please come and share. They'll actually have somebody that'll be recording stories and that sort of thing as well. So this should be pretty good. All right, and then moving on to the Hanover Township PBA. This Saturday, PBA is going to be hosting a brew pub and seafood truck festival at Anchor Golfway. That begins at 12 o'clock and ends at 6 this Saturday. Should be pretty good. It looks like, I went on the website, it looks like they've got 8 different brewing companies featuring 32 different recipes. For those who aren't interested in the beer tent, there's also activities and games, live music by a band called Amped, as well as a lot of other family fun. So if you're interested in attending, there's 2 ways of going about that. You can show up and pay at the door, or at the parking lot, if you will, or you can go to HanoverTWPPBA128.com and order tickets online. So either way, hopefully we'll see you there. It should be a good event. So speaking of the PBA, as we learned tonight, Steve Bolkar, founding member of PBA 128, founding member of the Hanover Township School Park and Safety Subcommittee, and current head of the Hanover Township Crossing Guards, has decided to retire. Steve began his career shortly after Hanover Township Police Chief Clemens visited the Bolkar family's home in Whippany to tell Steve's father he thought Steve would make a good police officer. As a result, Officer Steve Bolkar was issued badge number 5 on February 6, 1958. Rising through the ranks, Steve retired with the rank of Deputy Chief. However, 2 days after his retirement, Police Chief DeVenner paid a visit and asked if Steve would be willing to lead the Crossing Guard Division for just a few weeks until he could fill that position. That was in 1993. So if you do the math, as Chief pointed out in his resignation letter, that's 60 years of service. 60 years that he's been around this town. So I've had the privilege of serving with Steve on the Traffic Safety Committee for close to 5 years. I can tell you firsthand, he cares deeply about the safety of Hanover's residents, and especially the children. I can also tell you that with 60 years under his belt, he has some of the best stories you'll ever hear about this town. So if you ever get the chance to speak with Steve, I would ask him about the farewell wave that Bob Hope gave to him as he was leaving the Birchwood Manor many years ago. It's a great story. So anyway, thank you to Chief Bolkar, and best of luck to you going forward. One last thing on that note, on October 3rd, there's going to be a brief ceremony in honor of the chief at 11 a.m. in front of Town Hall. All are welcome to attend that as well.
Hey, Ron, could I just jump in for Chief Bolkar for a second?
Sure.
You know, with Brian for 5 years, we've served with Chief Bolkar on school and park traffic safety. And when the chief was talking to us about retiring, we were ignoring him and we were laughing. And he called me one day and he said, "You're not taking me very seriously." And I said, "No, I'm not." And he said, "Well, Chief Roddy won't return my phone calls." And when I talked to the chief, he says, "I'm not calling him back. We're not going to take it seriously." But he's really going to retire, 60 years. And the one thing he told me a lot, by the way, and like Brian said, he tells us a lot of stories. But he told me he does not want a plaque. He better not get a plaque. He wants to show me his room full of plaques. He basically planned his entire clap out. He said that's the only way he would show up, is if there was no surprises, and he was involved in all the planning. And every one of us said, "Whatever you say, Chief." And he was calling all of us, comparing notes. It was great. Great, beautiful human being. Thank you for 60 years, Chief Bolkar. And there's going to be plenty more between now and October 3rd.
Awesome. That's Steve. That is definitely Steve. Oh my God. Committee been in Halco.
Well, the summer is closing.
Oh,
we all know that the
that's a
summer is
shame.
ending. So does the pool. It was a successful year. There were several times that there was well over 900 attended. This weekend, or last weekend being one of them, Labor Day, many people came out. Again, another successful year. More stuff coming for next year. We're already working on that. So remember that for next year. Concession stand is open at the Brickyard. Come out, see the Pee-wees playing football. I believe the 20th is going to be there. Not the 20th.
Tigers?
The Tigers. 20th. Oh, no.
22nd.
22nd, thank you. The 20th is going to be the charity game between Wegmans and Bayer.
Oh, yes.
That's going to be Thursday night.
Yeah,
So that's going to be the, I'm getting a little ahead of myself here. That's the Hanover Township Charity Classic, Thursday, September 20th, 5:30 we're beginning. They're going to, let's see, the entrance fee will be a non-perishable food item. Knights of Columbus will be collecting the food. The Rotary will be cooking the hot dogs. I believe we're still reffing the game, boys. Brush it off and let's get ready. They'll also be honoring the softball girls that went to the state tournament. They'll also be honored there. And we'll also be dedicating the concession stand to Dave and Mary Della Russo,
Yes.
who just recently passed away. They did so much work and so much time down there. A nice plaque is going to be put up for the concession there. So again, mark your calendars for that. Again, Thursday, September 20th. Hanover Township Day. What a fantastic day. You know, if you like non-sunny, no rain, nice and cool, it was a perfect day. Thousands of people came out. It was well attended. Our sponsors were the best that we've seen in a long time. Our tables were full. We had so many, it's so many to even list. It was a wonderful day. We had the Touch-A Truck. Ace headed up, bringing the younger group out to play music. We had 4 acts or 5?
We had 4 musical acts and 5 dance acts.
Yeah.
And great partnership with the rec.
Yeah, it was a great way to kick off. We didn't want to call it a battle of the bands, but it was nice to get the next level. People had always said there's always stuff to do for the young kids. You know, the bounce houses, the face painting, the balloon animals. This kind of got the tweeners. This got the young teenagers, and even my children of all people I picked them up from their sporting event earlier, and I said, well, do you want to go back to Hanover Township Day, or do you want to go home? And they said, oh, our friends are playing, we want to go back. So it served its purpose, and there was some terrific bands there, so it was really nice to see. Again, a wonderful day. DPW did an awesome job. The rec department really came together. They do so much. There's so much that goes on behind the scenes. Now that I'm involved, I see how much it really goes in to bringing all of the sponsors and all the clubs that are manning the tables. There's a lot that comes together, and this was a very successful year. And thank you all for attending. It was, again, wonderful day. Let's see. Coming up, although it's sold out, we have a trip to Yankee Stadium to see the Yankees play. That's going to be on the 15th. That's sold out already, though, unfortunately. Missed out on that. Masquerade at Malapartis Park will be October 27th from 2 to 4 o'clock. Bring the youngsters out. We go around the ponds and knock on doors and get candy and goodies that way. Our fall programs are starting on the 17th. Again, so many to list. Check out the website. I was going to start bringing a list, but it would be 3 pages long. There's so much stuff going on. Registration for basketball and wrestling also begins next week. So for those youngsters, please sign up. Now's the time.
Very good. Always comprehensive. Very good, Mike. On the website that Michael was commenting about, it's being worked on. John commented about it. We're all looking at it. We have an organization known as Civic Plus that's redesigning the website. They handle a lot of municipalities, a lot of cities. They know what they're doing. We've been going through with Kelly Shantz a very extensive plan to put this in place. Hopefully by the first of the year, the new site will be up. It'll be very dynamic. And you'll be able to be driven to it, get all your information there. I know there's a controversy between all of our data being on, electronic now and so forth, and still people want print material. I think we're going to still keep up with the newsletter to some degree, but eventually the website is what we're going to drive you to. Going on, Stony Brook Farm is doing well. We've had our second season, which we're closing down now. There's going to be a volunteer day, September the 22nd. This is Saturday, from 11 to 1. A volunteer day to help at the farm with various duties that we're going to do, spreading wood chips and doing other things to open up the paths on the farm and get it ready for next spring. So if you're interested, Saturday, September the 22nd. For all the gardeners that have taken gardens there, there'll be a meeting on October the 2nd at 7 o'clock at the Rec Center. That's a Tuesday. That's a general meeting of all the people that have had gardens throughout the course of the year. Our master gardener will be there. Our garden managers will be there. We'll answer your questions on how things went, take your suggestions for how things can go better. And so we certainly invite you to be a part of that as well. Our health department brings you up to date with flu shots, October the 24th. Make a note of that. October the 24th from 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock at the community center will be the first phase of flu shots. November the 8th, 10 to 12, same place, community center, will be flu shots. Highly recommend everyone take advantage of that, flu shots for this up and coming year as well. We want to thank Morris Township for joining us as part of the shared services for health services. It's a wonderful opportunity for us to conserve on the cost of health services, but at the same time provide coverage for both towns. I want to bring your attention to a notice that will be coming to your households very, very shortly from SMC MUA. That's the Southeast Morris County Utilities Authority. The water company has informed the township that it had a slight irregularity in the water quality. Do not panic. What this means is that in the chlorination process for a certain portion of our township, mostly toward the Morris Plains section, Morris Township section, they did note a deviation in the water quality, which is due to the manner in which they chlorinated. It is not a risk to you, but they are required by regulation to inform all customers throughout Hanover Township in their customer base of the irregularity. If you have more questions or concerns about it, you can contact the water company and get further updates. Although, again, our Board of Health has reviewed it. Dr. Van Orden, who we all have the best of faith in, has reviewed it along with Dr. Zabrowski and Dr. Perez, and we all feel confident that this is just compliant with a state regulation on the irregularity. The new signs will be going up in the park soon, and this one here that the Board of Health was able to acquire, and I think we'll be giving it over to the Recreation Department and our Public Works Department for installation around the parks. Prevent tick bites, and a little check mark of what you can do to prevent tick bites. So you'll see these signs going up. Yep, I got it in the camera. I think we do. There it is. Zoom in. Bingo. There it is. Okay. So you'll see these going into the parks on our signage that's already in there. It is a problem, and we want to do our best to inform you how to prevent it. So that you'll see going on as well. September the 19th, the Deputy Mayor and myself will be at ShopRite, and we'll be putting on aprons and bagging. You don't want me bagging.
The eggs go where?
You do not want me begging. But in any event, it is a campaign which we're happy to contribute to, Begging for Hunger. And ShopRite is sponsoring that, so that's on September the 19th. We will be there. And should I remind you, on September the 22nd, we got such full calendars in September. It's unbelievable. The Ukrainian Church is having their festival. It's always a grand day. The Tigers on that same day, the 22nd, from 3 to 4, is having their kickoff at Blackbrook Park. So, folks, you got a lot of entertainment ahead of you, as you just heard. So, thank you very much. So, that's it for me. Oh, finally, the Health Department did put out their 2017 and 2018 Annual Health Department Report. As such, if you're interested in a copy of it, you can contact our health department and they will provide you with same. So thank you very much. On that note, gentlemen, there's no other business from the committee. This time, motion for adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Adjourn.
That's a great initiative. That's great work.
Freezing. I was like, shit.
Okay, let's see if we can wind it up.